In this video, we will cover client definition and client administration. This is very important for understanding the enterprise structure.
So, I showed you this enterprise structure hierarchy, where you can see the client. So the client is the highest level organizational unit in the SAP system. All other organizational units, such as company code, business area, plants, sales organization, purchasing organization, etc., are created within a client. Without defining the client, you cannot create or manage any business structure.
Client. In SAP S4HANA, a client is the highest level organizational unit in the SAP system hierarchy. It represents a separate, independent environment where you can manage, store, and maintain master data, transactional data, and system configurations. Key points about client in SAP S4HANA. Data separation. Each client has its own independent set of master data, such as customer data, material data, and vendor data. Transactional data, such as sales orders, purchase orders, and invoices. Customizing settings, configuration specific to a particular business, process or organizational unit. User master data, user accounts, roles, and authorizations. Data isolation. The data in one client is isolated from the data in other clients within the same SAP system. This means users logged into one client cannot directly access or see the data of another client, ensuring data security and integrity. 3-digit identifier. Each client is assigned a unique 3-digit identifier, such as 100, 200, or 300. No separate software installation. You don't need to install separate SAP software for each client. Multiple clients can exist within a single physical SAP instance, sharing the same underlying database and application server. Makes it cost-effective and efficient for managing different business units or environments. Types of client. Client 100, development. Client 200, quality or testing. Client 300, production. Development client, where consultants and developers configure, customize, and develop new functionalities. Changes made here are recorded in transport requests. Quality client, transported from the development client for testing and validating the configurations by the consultants and by the business users, that is called user acceptance testing. Production client, when testing is successfully completed on the quality client and the business users are satisfied with the configuration and customization, it is migrated to the production client. This is the live client, where actual business operations are conducted, containing current and live data. Other clients. Sandbox client, used for initial exploration, experimentation, and ad hoc testing without impacting development or production environments. Training client, used for end-user training, often updated regularly. In summary, the client concept in SAP S4HANA provides a strong framework to manage different business requirements and system environments within a single SAP installation. SAP environments and transportation. All data is transported from development clients to quality clients for testing and validation. And then, once the testing and changes are done, those changes are migrated or transported to the production client.
Client creation. Transaction code, SCC4. 3-digit numeric client key. Client table, T000, and table view T-code, SE16N. Menu path, SAP Easy Access. Tools. Administration. Then administration. Again client administration. And SCC4, client maintenance.
I will demonstrate to you on the SAP system how to create a client and what the settings are under a client. Now I will show you the client settings in the S4HANA system. First, I will log into the SAP S4HANA system. And here, you can see the client key as 100. Please note that the username and password belong to only that specific client for which you have access. You cannot use the same username and password to log into other clients. So, let's log into the SAP system. We can use the transaction code SCC4. Alternatively, we can use the menu path under Tools, Administration, and then Administration. Again Client Administration, and double-click on Client Maintenance. Here you can see the list of all clients. For example, Client 000 is a master client and is available when you install the SAP system. Client 100 plays the role of customization, and its currency is US dollars, which also represents the group currency in the SAP system. So, you can create as many clients as you want. As an SAP S4HANA sales consultant, you need to know how to create clients. However, it is not your job to create the clients or customize the client. Another team, such as the SAP Basis team or SAP Basis consultants, is responsible for creating or administering the client settings. A client can be created by clicking on this Change button and pressing Enter to continue. You can also create a client by clicking on the New Entries button. Or you can select a client 100 and copy it to create a new client. As you can see, the default currency for this client is US dollars. Additionally, you can view the settings that are controlled under this client, such as changes and transports for client-specific objects. At the moment, the settings are automatic recording of changes. Therefore, the best practice is to keep or choose this setting. The reason is that when you create a customization or perform a configuration, a dialog box opens for customizing requests. Then you have to create a new customization request or use an existing customization request to save your changes, and that will generate a particular node or number with your customization request, and that customization request can be transported from one client environment to another client environment, such as the development client to quality client, and then quality to production client. And you can control cross-client object changes if you allow that. Client copy and comparison tool protection, and CAT and ECAT restrictions. So, that's how you can control the settings for each client using the T-code SCC4. As an S4HANA sales consultant, you need to know how to create clients. However, it's not your job to create or customize the clients. That responsibility falls to another team, like the SAP Basis team or SAP Basis consultants. To better understand the client's needs, you need information about the client. You should also find out how many environments a business is using for a project. First, you need to know how many environments there are and which client key belongs to a particular environment. If you go back and take a look at other transaction codes related to client administration, the SAP Basis team usually executes these. For example, client copy can be used to create both a local copy and a remote copy for existing clients, utilizing the following transaction codes. Additionally, there are special functions and transaction codes. related to client transport. So, you have to understand the client administration functionality that exists in the SAP system, and you also need to understand the controls that are under each client as SAP S4HANA Sales Consultant. Thanks for watching this video, and I invite you to my next lecture on Enterprise Structure Configuration.